Hey everybody, this is Greg Moody. I am here, and Tracy Thomas is going to be with us maybe in a minute here, but it's Greg Moody and Tracy Thomas with a Rev podcast today on where you're losing leads, part one. We've got a few parts of this that we're going to be going over in the next few podcasts today. The one thing that we wanted to cover first is where you're losing leads in your first acquisition, and this could be in your phone script, whether it's going to be an incoming call or an outbound call. And many of you are still dealing with leads or with clients on the phone. Now, some of you might be in a business where you're getting leads by simply online marketing and doing your sales all online. So this may or may not apply to you, but some of the principles will apply to you. And so what we find with many businesses is they're working with leads coming in, prospects coming in, and either they come in from either a phone call or a lead, and then they do an outbound phone call. And so either way, it comes to us. And then we have some sort of communication with them. And so the communication is based on, what? It should be based on some sort of phone script, something that's written down. And for all of our staff and for the people that we work with, forever and ever, they've got a written, scripted way of communicating with people. And most businesses we talk to when we first start working with them don't have anything like that. They go, well, no, I know how to talk to people. I've talked to all of our clients. I know what their issues are. I know what they're talking about. And when we listen to the calls, and when we build a website for one of our clients, we do have an ability to record the phone calls so that we can do tracking and make sure we understand how their marketing is working. We hear some crazy stuff. And I hate to say this, but in about 98% of the time, or 98% of the time that we listen to phone calls, they're pretty terrible. The biggest issue is when a client says one thing, they say X, we need to not necessarily respond to X. We need to respond with Y. We need to control the conversation, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So whenever we are dealing with a client, whenever there's an inbound call, whenever there's an outbound call that we make or we receive, what's most important is what's the objective that we have. Now, let's say we're a medical practice and we have an inbound call. Somebody wants to set an appointment to do they're a new patient. What's our objective? Is our objective to give them all the information about what insurance that we take? Is our objective to let them know what rates we charge for copays? No, our objective, really, our primary objective is to get an appointment for them to come in. Now, those other things are relevant, and those other things are things that they will be asking about. They'll be asking about, maybe even what doctors we have. Do we have DOs or MDs? Do we, what other things are where our location is? That might be relevant. They won't be able to come in for an appointment if they don't know our location. But our main objective in that case is setting an appointment. If you're a martial arts school, for example, we work with a lot of those. Our objective is set an appointment. Our objective wouldn't be to tell them what schedules we have. Our objective wouldn't be to give them our price. If your objective, however, was let's say a contractor, right now in today's day and age, contractors are really busy at this moment. Maybe at a different time, they wouldn't be as busy. The objective might be to give them a price because maybe you're overwhelmed with leads. And so you might be using price as a filtering mechanism. So we've got kind of multiple situations. In one situation, it might be to set an appointment. In which case, let's use price as an example. We wouldn't be wanting to discuss price over the phone, even though the client would want to ask about price. Now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, but if they ask about price, I got to tell them about price. There's multiple ways to deal with this question. We'll get back to that. The second objective could be as a filtering mechanism. So filtering or pre-qualifying. And it's not just money, it might be other things that you're trying to pre-qualify. If I'm a lawyer, I might want to pre-qualify whether there would be a good client. They might call and ask if I do certain kind of cases, I might want to ask some questions to see whether or not this would be a good fit for us. There might be something where you can only sell over the phone. You can only take a transaction over the phone. So in this case, if we're talking about money in particular, maybe the only way I can do the sale, I had my car window replaced because it was cracked the other day, and I had to give the person all my information, my insurance information. And so the only way they could do the transaction, in this case, it wasn't money, it was my insurance information, was to get all the information over the phone, really do the entire transaction over the phone, and then they would come and fix my window. So sometimes the objective is to complete the transaction over the phone, and that's what you need to do. So depending on what your objective is, we work backwards to build a script. You must have a script. There have been 0 businesses in the hundreds of businesses that we've worked with, and I mean 0, that have effectively done phone work without a script. So when you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about whether or not you're effective at leads, whether or not you're getting as many leads turned into clients, prospects, students, members, sales, whether you're getting as many of those as you can have. If you don't have a script for how you're dealing with these on the initial contact, you are getting less of them than you think because you don't have a script. So what you can do is set a time with us and we can help you work backwards from that. But let me give you an example and let's talk about each of these are going to be different. So I'll give you a couple examples of if appointments are your objective. So let's just clear this and talk about appointments. One way we might deal with this, if it's just related to appointments, is going to be if my objective is to get an appointment, and let's say I'm a chiropractor, I'm trying to get an appointment. Well, I also do need to deal with benefits. Anybody calling for a chiropractic appointment is going to want to know about their benefits. Do I take their insurance? But my objective is really to make sure that they're a solid appointment and they will come in. We may take their insurance. We may not take their insurance. If we don't take their insurance, maybe they would like to be a cash pay patient. Maybe they'll decide if we don't take their insurance that they're not going to be a patient with us. Again, our objective is still to get an appointment. And then secondarily, if they like us, they can decide whether or not they want to pay out of pocket or not. So in the first call, when they call in, our script would respond to the insurance question by saying, well, we do, and this is a legitimate way to respond. We're going to check on your insurance and give you a second call back. What we'd like to do is set up a time and reserve your time so that we can make sure it's convenient for you and block off the time in our busy schedule. And then what we'll do is give you a call back within the next hour and let you know what your insurance benefits are once we check on it. Okay, I have availability with the doctor on Thursday at 5 o'clock or on Wednesday at 10:30, which one would be best for you? And then they pick the time, or we do other appointment setting work that we teach you to do so that we schedule a time. So the time is solid in the book, and that's a stronger confirmation that they're going to be a patient rather than them calling, doing a quick call, and then calling another person, another business. So that's one example of how you can do appointment setting because that's your objective. Now, on the second call and the benefits call, if it doesn't work out for them, that's fine. But now we've made it more of a solid call. So that's one example. We work, as I mentioned, a lot of martial arts schools. In a martial arts schools case, if they call about money, this is one of the more direct cases in dealing with money. Nobody knows what to call about, and none of your prospects know what to call about and ask about money. So here's an example of a business that when people call about, it's a very strange experience. Nobody, for the most part, has ever taken a martial arts class before. They've never taken anything like this. They don't know what it's about. They don't know what the experience is like. They don't know what they're buying. So they call and they ask about price, but they don't really know what the experience is. They don't know whether they're going to like it. They don't know what classes would be right for them. They don't know anything about it. So for them to ask about price is kind of a strange question if you think about it. What we really need to do is make sure that schedule would be the same thing. What we need to do in that scenario for that kind of business, or for any similar business like that, it was a dance studio, if it was if you were having an archery class, what we need to do is have, when they call, is not respond to that question. Just continue with our phone script, gather information about them, what they want to get out of martial arts classes. Because if they want to get one thing versus another thing, they may be taking a different class. So it's kind of not a relevant question for them to ask about price. It would be like if I went to a car dealer and I called up the car dealer and I said, well, how much are your cars? And the person at the front desk of the car dealer was going to go, well, they're $30,000. That would be a strange answer to give, right? The person at the front desk would have to say, well, I don't know. It depends on what kind of car you want. You kind of got to come in, look at the cars, drive the cars, pick your options, and we have a lot of different cars. And that's the way we need to respond if you can't do the transaction over the phone. So remember, this is the main rule in any kind of dealing with price or questions that you can't completely answer over the phone. You don't answer questions. So this is phone script kind of rule number one. Don't answer questions that can't be transacted or decided. That would be like money. You can't transact the money over the phone. So you don't answer those questions over the phone. Or decided. Like decided would be whether or not in a health insurance case, they can decide that over the phone. But they can't really decide what schedule they're going to be in because they don't know you in a or the car case. They can't buy the car over the phone for the most part. There's some more modern ways to do that, but they can't really make the transaction. They can't really decide what kind of car they want over the phone. So we can't answer those questions. We don't answer questions that can't be transacted or decided over the phone. Now, I get it. People call and they ask these kind of questions because they don't know what other questions to ask. I get it. That's why we have to help you with that. The main way to do that and the way to handle that is you control the conversation by information gathering, that's the solution to this. So every way that we do this is different for each business, and we design this and craft it for your business. You can either do that yourself from the information you got from the podcast today. We're kind of running out of time here. Or feel free to reach out to us, and you can get the link on our either on the podcast here or in some of our other resources that we've sent out to you. And we'd be happy to spend 15-20 minutes helping you with that and making sure that we can walk you through that. We don't charge for that to help you get through these few steps. We want to make sure that you don't lose leads. We want to make sure that you get as many leads through this first stage of client impact or client contact, and make sure you don't lose any. We help all of our businesses that we work with in other areas, with their websites, with their marketing, with other areas. We want to help them get through these stages so you get the maximum amount of leads from what you're doing. Okay, that's it for me today. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Rev Podcast.